Nottingham at the same time. Obviously there were similar riots elsewhere, but the ones we're going to be looking at are just or mainly the ones that happened in here, just in this area. This has been organised by the Nottinghamshire Radical History Group, or people with Histreh. We've been going for about a year and a half. This is the first, we've organised a couple of events, stuff around the poll tax, but this is the first time we've done anything like this. The first time we've done a kind of history walk, which I hope it's going to go very well. We are going to be looking at the end for feedback and constructive criticism. So yeah, we do want to know what people think of this. The other thing that's worth bearing in mind, if it follows from that, is that none of us have ever actually done this before. So it may not be a massively slick operation. None of us, no one here is expert. Everyone here has either studied stuff in their own spare time or picked stuff up along the way. So none of us are claiming to be experts. If you do want to ask questions, do feel free. We can't guarantee to be able to answer them. And also, if anyone does know anything or has picked up anything themselves, do feel free to contribute. We don't want this just to be us talking at you. Philip is very keen that I remind you that there will be at the end goodie bags for, hopefully, for everybody, unless we end up with too many people. But if you have to leave early, do let us know wherever the trolley's gone. There will be, back there, there's a trolley which will have including a booklet about the Reform Riots and some other stuff. But yeah, basically, the format is going to be that we'll be following around. Make sure if you get lost, follow the loaf on the bread. But hopefully something just like that. And yeah, we'll be stopping. There's a map. You should have all had the booklet. It's got a map on the back, but as long as you follow the loaf, hopefully it'll be alright. Do shout if you're going too quickly. I think that's the best. The only thing that might be worth doing is those people who are vaguely involved might want to indicate who's involved in the organising at this point. Again. So those people need to be helped with anything. Do speak to those people, and I'll hand you over to Phil.
Right. Okay, yeah, thank you very much for coming from me as well. And can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Right, so during Goose Fair in 1776, outrageously high cheese prices sparked off what became known as the Great Cheese Riot. And in that Great Cheese Riot, people stormed the market stalls and carted off huge cheese wheels, and some of them were rolled down Wheeler Gate and bounced and rolled down the street, ending up here and bowling over the mayor in the process. Yeah. Food riots such as these were quite a regular occurrence, especially in the early days of the Industrial Revolution. So the people of Nottingham will very often have seen this thing, a loaf on a bread, often carried with black and red ribbons, which indicated the traditional symbol to start a food riot. So whenever someone was carrying someone like that over a market, normally that was the signal for everyone to come and start a riot. But the people of Nottingham did not only fight for economic reasons, but also for political and sometimes even for religious issues. So the streets of the town were said to have been very regularly been filled with the noise of jeering crowds, the whine of musket balls and the smashing of glass. And therefore, in the early 19th century, the people of this town had earned a very well-earned reputation of being a combustible and dangerous mob. And although this is regularly forgotten or ignored by historians, it has to be said that women always were a crucial part in organizing and fighting these social struggles, and were always in the crowds whenever something kicked off. These are going to be the first of a few pictures we're going to hand out during the day. So this shall just give you some indication of what Nottingham might have looked like in those days. Just pass them round, and if at the end of the day they can either be back at me or in the trolley, that would be fab. So thank you very much. Okay, but in all this long and very riotous and tumultuous history of Nottingham, probably the most spectacular event was the destruction of Nottingham Castle 179 years ago today. And nearly all the books and all the articles and all the websites on Nottingham mention that event, but they typically only label the rioters who destroyed the castle hooligans or a crowd of goose fair rowdies, and their motives are only normally explained with venting anger on the stunning ducal palace. So this vagueness about who these people were made our research and also this walk based on two main questions. Who were those misguided rascals, and why did they burn the castle? In trying to provide some answers, there's going to be me telling you stuff, and there's going to be various other people reading out extracts from sources of the time. But I want you to be very, very vigilant with the stuff I'm telling you, and also with the stuff that's in the sources. Because history is written by and it's told by people. And people always have preconceived ideas, they have worldviews, and they have an agenda. So what I tell you and what is in the stories is a version of history. It's not the actual truth, if there is such a thing. Furthermore, I wanted to point out that all the sources we have used have been written by men, so all the sources and all the research based on the sources will be gender biased. Also, there is a big problem that in the sources themselves, the rioters have remained silent. They didn't explain themselves. There were no leaflets going around why they were doing this. So all I'm going to tell you about possible motives is based on circumstantial evidence, and therefore has again to be questioned. And finally, most of the things you're going to hear are not first-hand accounts, which is and can be important. Also, to give an example, I don't have a clue what the witnesses said in the trials after the riots. I just know what a journalist wrote down about what they said, which can be a very different thing again. So keep all that in mind and be vigilant. History is a science, and science never is exact and always needs to be questioned and to be corrected. So therefore, question and correct and contribute yourselves. And yeah, okay, let's get on with it. The next stop is aiming to give you a bit of an impression of what life in Nottingham would have been like in the 1830s. We do that by nicking an idea of the brilliant Women's History Group, and if anyone from the Women's History Group is here today, I really want to apologize for stealing the idea they had on their walk of going into one of these smelly, dodgy alleys, but I hope they will forgive us.
Going up to the poultry arcade, which is up that way, follow the flow.